Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reds Room, where we take an in-depth look at Cincinnati Reds memorabilia. My guest joining me once again from Forest Park, Ohio, is Mark Fugate. Mark,
Hi.
welcome back to the Reds Room.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're going to look at some, I guess you would call this beer-related Reds memorabilia.
Yeah, I guess you would.
Advertisement?
Yeah, advertisement pieces for Cincinnati Reds beer.
Okay.
A lot of Cincinnati companies that made advertising for the Reds.
And we're not going to get into value on these because some of the values are just either really extremely high or also just what someone will pay, because this stuff is, some of it's just nearly impossible to ever find. There might only be one.
Yeah, true.
So one of the things, just before we start looking at each individual piece, I mean, some of the major beer and baseball, first of all, go together.
Mm-hmm.
So what's some of the major companies that really, back in the vintage days of the 40s, 50s, 60s?
Burger Beer, by
Okay.
far the number one. Wiedemann. There was some Budweiser, but you're going to see mostly Wiedemann. There's Hudepohl too. Burger
Okay.
Beer. Burger did the most of anybody of advertising, but there are Wiedemann pieces and Hudepohl. I mean, there's other companies. I mean, there was Student Prince beer. I don't know if we get back into the 30s and 40s, but you don't see any advertising. You don't see any cardboard pieces from those days. They just had giant signs at Crosley Field. Occasionally, you'll see a coaster, but you don't ever see any advertising, or at least I've never seen any. So the most you see is usually Burger Beer,
Okay.
and then the other ones are Wiedemann and Hudepohl.
Okay. So, and I think as you got in the 70s, you begin to see maybe Stroh's. And some of that, but
Calendars and things with throws, and probably a couple other companies I can't think of right now. But
And now when we take a look at some of this, we'll start over here with this Burger Beer. I guess it's like a cardboard type of.
yeah, it was been a stand-up display. It originally had an easel back, and so it would have just sat on the counter.
Yeah.
Probably with beer in front of it, just as an advertising piece. Could have sat on the counter any place in a store.
And that, so it would have been in a store or a bar.
Could have
or a tavern.
Could have been in bar, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
they could have used them anywhere.
Just like you see nowadays, you see a lot of neon lighting.
Yeah.
This may be what they.
Yeah, this one actually could have been stuck on a wall. I mean, they might have just on the bar. They might have just plastered it on the wall behind the counter.
But is this something you would have even found in the stadium? Maybe you think? Probably not.
Probably not. I don't know. Usually these were always known as some sort of store displays, promoting their the beer.
Yeah.
They might have a little beer section. And sometimes they would take these signs and put holes in them and hang them from the ceiling.
Right.
Some of them come automatically with holes, but some of them you'll see where they didn't really have holes, but you can tell that they actually hung them.
Right.
So it just it just depends. But I would say most of the time these would just be in stores, bars, convenience stores, pony kegs, those kind of places. But it could have been in bars.
And now these beers that we talked about at the beginning here, like Burger and Wiedemann and what was the Hudepohl?
Yeah.
They were all Cincinnati beers.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they even really did any other teams other than the Reds.
No, I've
seen.
not seen. I'm going to say they made these locally in Cincinnati, and they were just around the Cincinnati area in all the stores, as far as I can tell. I mean, who knows how far south they might have went? Maybe they got down into Kentucky or West Virginia. It's possible.
Right.
But I would say it'd be in the tri-state area, in the surrounding 3-state, 4-state area, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here we have this is like a hanging light display.
It's a hanging light, and it's Seagram's, which actually doesn't have anything to do with Cincinnati, really. But what I thought was fascinating about this piece is it's got Pete Rose diving back into first. So it's a big, thick metal cabinet sign with a plastic front that has a chain to turn the light on, and it works. And it basically has a label on the front. And what drew me to it immediately is there's Pete Rose is diving into first base.
And it seems like I've seen this in this very photo before somewhere.
Yes, it's also on a poster.
Okay.
That poster was on display at the Reds Hall of Fame. And it was a long, skinny poster. A local collector had it. I think he loaned it to the Hall of Fame. And I'd never seen the poster before, but they used the exact same image for that poster on this.
That's amazing.
So this actually I just recently bought. I just bought this at Reds Fest.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a dealer had it at Reds Fest.
Okay.
And quite cool. I loved it because it had Pete diving into first.
And I don't know if we discussed this before, but you also set up at Reds Fest with Sports Gallery every year, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah.
What time period would you put
Well, this is in the mid-'60s.
Mid-'60s, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Seagram's was that old.
64, 65, 66, because he's wearing a mid-60s uniform,
Yeah.
a road jersey. I'll set that back up again, but super cool. I just love it because it's Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, if it didn't have Pete Diamond in the first, I mean, it doesn't really fit my Cincinnati beer collection, but if it's got Pete on it, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked that up.
And well, I don't think we talked. What was the time period you think on this one?
This was late 50s, 58, 59, possibly 60. By the uniform style, so I'm saying 58 to 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then over here, one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the only miniature one I've ever seen. And this is a Wiedemann Joe Nuxall. It's about what, maybe
Maybe
a foot tall.
Yeah.
Foot tall or
about
so.
a foot
Yeah.
tall.
Tell us a little bit about this.
This again is a countertop display. It had an easel back. It's made of cardboard. They made two versions. They made the tiny one and they made a giant one that was like 3 feet tall.
And I'll bring that up here.
I've actually seen 3 of these. There was one in an auction at a Joe Nuxall auction.
Oh.
When they had an auction back, they sold the one statue. They auctioned off one of the statues.
Okay.
And it was for the Nuxall Foundation over there. I didn't go to the auction, but I know somebody who went,
Yeah.
and they had one of these at the auction.
Wow.
And I had no idea, and he picked it up and got a great deal on it, by the way.
Oh my.
But I have seen one other, so I've only seen 3 of these in 20 years.
Wow.
Of the mini one. They're just, it would have just sat probably by the checkout area of the store. Just sat by on the counter. It was just a store display.
Now I noticed there's a microphone here. So is this had to be 67, 68 maybe?
Yeah, it's late 60s. When Joe was doing the Wiedemann, I'd say 66, 60. When was his last year with the Red? 66?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably 67, 68 time period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, and that's great. And we'll make sure, like I said, I'll show you the large one as well. And then we'll pull these down so you can see the more goodies behind us.
That one's kind of stuck in. Why don't you just hand it to me and I'll sit on the floor, make it easier on you.
There you go.
I stuck it in there pretty tight. Okay.
So we'll start over here behind you with, this really isn't an advertisement. It's more of a...
It actually just says burger. Which
Oh,
is
it does say
interesting.
burger.
Yeah, this was actually a burger advertising piece. And down here it says Crosley Field, home of the Cincinnati Reds. This is a cardboard advertising piece. I've seen a number of these over the years, probably 10 or 12. Not a lot, but they are out there.
Okay.
Actually, I had one in the store just a few years ago that sat around for a long time before somebody bought it. Great little piece. This one actually had a hole in here.
Oh.
So I don't know if they hung it like that or just pinned it to they might have just put a nail in the wall and hung it up.
Yeah.
But these could have been anywhere. They could have been, I'm not really sure if it was more bar related. I could have hung in a bar. But it's a great photograph or a painting of action in Crosley, and you get the kind of the look of Crosley Field and the burger piece. So Burger was the one behind getting this made.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is very cool. Very cool.
And what year was that? Did you?
This is probably going to be the same, like late 50s era.
Okay.
I'm going to guess by the uniform styles. That's 18. It may not be Klaszewski, but it possibly is Klaszewski.
Yeah.
Or supposed to look like Klaszewski. So I'm going to guess 57 to 60 time period.
Okay.
Would be my guess. This one's got a little drop of paint on it, green paint. So sometimes to find them at all is tough. So
yeah.
Sometimes they're in rough condition because they're just cardboard.
Right.
People didn't protect them, but it's a neat advertising.
It is very nice. And then right up above you here, we have a Hudipole piece.
Yeah.
See the Reds on TV.
Yeah. That was a tri-fold piece. You can't see it, but it would have folded like this, and it would have been a countertop display.
Okay.
So it would just sat there, and they might have put beer in front of it on a shelf or on a table. It's basically made to be a display for a beer display. Whole beer.
I think it's neat how each one, like this is Hudipole talks about, hey, we're the TV sponsor. Down here it's Burger Network. They really associate themselves not only with the Reds but with being on TV.
Yeah.
A lot of them did. And what's the era on this?
Well, again, I'm gonna. It's interesting that there's a 63-1 at the end of this, which could be 1963, possibly. but I still believe it's late 50s, early 60s. I don't know if that 63 actually means anything or not, but by the uniform style, that's
Yeah.
late 50s uniform style
Okay.
to 1960. I think
Right.
they were a style like till 1960. So again, but they could have, used that style even a couple years later, the same uniform style in their advertising
Mhm.
piece. So, but it's in tremendously nice condition.
Right.
It's all cardboard, and it doesn't show much use at all, which is incredible.
Well, and it's, for some people that are like just strictly beer collectors, I think, they might even be able to date it by the bottles.
True.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's guys out there who know exactly what years those bottles are. I haven't investigated that far.
No.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got
The tall Hugh Pole guy.
again, we got brings Reds games on TV. They
Yeah.
really wanted to push that they were the TV sponsor,
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
This was a giant stand-up, and there's two sizes of this. This is the giant one. There's a smaller one that's about 3/4 size of that. That is
Okay.
more common. When I say common, there might be 10 of them out there. This is the giant one, which is actually the only one I've ever seen.
What is that, about 5 foot tall?
Yeah, about almost 5. I remember standing up next to me. It came up to my eyes, so it's almost getting to 6 feet tall. It's
Wow.
pretty long.
Okay.
But it had a big stand up on the back, so it would have stood on the floor.
Okay.
Like they kind of like they make today,
Yeah,
like
so
a Ken Griffey Jr. something, like a
Right.
big stand up cardboard. It's like that, made that way. It had holes in the back where you put a tube through it, so in different spots to keep it standing up.
Mm-hmm.
So they had like a tube that went through it, and it folds down in half. Great design, by the way, back, and that's from the 70, 71 time period.
Yeah.
People always thought that was Pat Corrales or something, or no, it wasn't Pat Corrales. It was like somebody else, but it actually isn't a Reds player. It's
No.
just a male model.
Yeah, just a model.
Everybody always tried to figure it out by it looks like an S at the end of the name, but for what uniform he was wearing,
Yeah.
and looks like number 7, but nobody knows for sure.
Nobody knows.
But,
One of the things I want to bring up is just something we don't always talk about on the show, but something I do, because I've got some cardboard pieces like this, not this piece, but similar, but how you attach it to the wall, because
Yeah.
you use what would be bathroom mirror clips.
Yes, they're mirror clips, so it's loose. It's not being forced down, but it's holding it in place.
Correct.
Because you can't frame something that big.
No.
You could, but and also fit in that corner nice for me. So then I used clips to just keep it in place and not hurt or damage the piece.
And to frame something like that would cost a fortune.
Yeah, or make a case for it. It was too much, so I thought, man, it'd be really cool if I could just leave it out and just have it on the wall, but yet not hurt it.
Yeah.
So it's not stuck to the wall. You're not going to tape it to the wall. It's loose. It would come off real easy if we needed to.
And there you go. And that's a good idea. If somebody ever has something you don't want to frame or whatever, mirror clips. As long as it's not any thicker than, about maybe 1/4 of an inch at most.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come over here.
There's a
right
bunch
here.
of others. Yeah, another Burger Beer piece, a 3-dimensional Mr. Red, great piece with the Riverfront Stadium on the bottom. A tough sign to find.
That's beautiful.
I love that one. Burger made several different ones of different. They did Bengals. They did like a bowling one. They did this. I think this is the only style Reds one that I've seen though. There may be another one, but I don't remember. But incredibly hard to find. And again, cardboard. And they made it 3-dimensional, so the Mr. Red kind of sticks out from it. Mr. Red, and gave it kind of a 3D look,
Yeah,
which is really cool. And I framed that one up because that one's small enough you could frame and protect it. And,
it says artesian water lets the flavor through.
yeah.
That's interesting. Now that's obviously, you said that's got to be 70s, so because
Yeah.
you got Riverfront on it.
Yeah. And I believe a sign like that was probably a bar sign.
Okay.
Something like that would probably not be that was more bar related. They would have put that on the wall, probably in bars. It doesn't seem to be more of a store display at all. It seemed like a fancy beer sign for bars.
Yeah. I think that's possibly the first time I've seen a Burger Beer talking again about TV, and it's from the 70s. I didn't realize they went into the 70s with their advertising. It's always been 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Then the 3-dimensional Burger Beer. This actually was part of a much bigger sign. This was the center of a giant 3-piece. It folded. It had pictures of players on the sides, and it was from 61, 62. It had Frank Robinson, Vada Pinson, and this guy was in the middle of the sign. And it was stuck in the middle, and then it had the sides with with player photos.
Oh.
So this actually came off of one.
Okay.
Somebody saved this, but the cardboard got thrown away. So I was able to pick this up. The reason I know that is because I used to own the piece that I was just talking about. Unfortunately, I don't own it anymore. Unfortunately, I let it go. But that was part of that original piece, and it's from 1961, 62 period.
No.
So he's made out of plastic. He's molded plastic, 3-dimensional. Burger Beer, but that's what originally that was made for, was this giant cardboard sign.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really, really amazing piece. About 2.5, 3 foot tall.
Yeah, at
maybe?
least, yeah, about 3 feet tall.
Right in that area.
Yeah.
And now let me slide a little bit back this way. Well, no.
There
There we go. There we go.
You good?
Yeah. Take a look at this big piece. This is
These just recently got discovered a couple years ago in Cincinnati. They were in an attic in Cincinnati. There was a bunch in a box that had never seen the light of day that were mint in the box. There were some laying outside the box that were black with bird stuff on them that were really nasty. And then there were some that they decided that they nailed up in the rafters as insulation on the inside of this attic.
Wow.
I didn't find these, but a local gentleman that I know did. I think there was about 15 to 20 of these total. Some of them were really, really bad shape, but there was about 10 or so that were mint. Wow. This is one of the mint signs. And we also believe that these never made it to market. I don't believe that these were ever they were never displayed.
Okay.
So there may have been 24, 25 total of these. And somebody took them, either the printing company that made these, or somebody worked for Burger Beer, and for some reason they didn't use them, because nobody had ever seen one of these before. If this had made it to the outside world, somebody would have seen one at some point,
right.
But nobody ever had until these were discovered 2 years ago.
That's amazing.
It's an incredible piece, especially with Wade Hoyt says, "Step right up and say Burger, the beer that brings you baseball." I mean, Cincinnati Reds televised product. I mean, it's just got everything in the world going for it. The only thing it does, I wish the guy had, although, the Reds did wear uniform styles like this. He is wearing the blue, and they did have blue caps in the 50s. So I would guess this is late 40s, early 50s, probably.
Yeah. And I believe I have this piece as well, and it's got a giant easel on it.
Yes. So I actually had a case made for this one so I could take it out. I didn't want to frame this one. I didn't want to, so I decided to have a plastic case made that it can sit inside of it and be protected. And if I ever want to take it out to look at the back or whatever, I can take it out. Yeah.
And down below, which you probably can't see on here, but I'll bring I can do this. You want to bring it up here?
Yeah. Just a little Wade Hoyt, little Burger Beer piece. What's interesting about these, on the back of these, they actually had stickies on the back. Originally, they were made that way. Okay. It was like a sticky tape.
Okay.
So when they made these, and whenever they distributed these, they had the sticky tape on for you, probably in bars, again, just to stick on the wall. So you could, advertise your Burger Beer in the bar. So they probably gave them to the bars to stick on the wall.
And that's, again, talking about the TV network, and I'm just judging from the logo. This is probably mid-60s.
Yeah, sometime in the 60s.
Yeah.
The Flavor Revolution.
Made of paper, like
those were just paper.
Yeah.
Those were really, and like I said, I told you earlier, like 10 years ago, I saw a bunch of these around. They were 10 or 15, and then all of a sudden there's none.
Yeah.
They just vanished. So all the other collectors that wanted one took them home, and now you don't see them anymore. So.
And every one I've seen framed is just like, has that.
I did the cutout on the framing, which I really, I don't know, it shows it off nicely.
That does.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And I'll slide up out of the way over here. Over to this side. And we have,
see that, the Hudipole piece,
3D
dimensional TV, which is cool design, and then it's got Cesar Geronimo diving into first with Steve Garvey, and it says, "Check your local newspaper for time and channel. Hudipole beer brings you the Cincinnati Reds." Really super cool piece. I've seen 2 of these. I know another collector that has one. I just couldn't believe I had a chance to get this. I'd never seen one before.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But then also, actually, it's funny, Cesar Geronimo actually signed this one. Not that that's really all that important, but this one happened to be already signed when I bought it.
Yeah.
But I love the 3-dimensional TV look to it. And again, I'm sure this was made for a bar. This
Yeah.
would have hung in a bar. And who knows how many they've made. Really cool.
It is a really neat. I love anything that's like 3-dimensional like that.
And obviously you can date it because you got Cesar diving in, so you know it's after 72, right? After
Right.
70,
Yeah.
or 72 or later.
I don't know who that is at first base.
That's Garvey.
Is that Garvey?
Yeah,
Okay.
Steve Garvey. Great piece.
Yeah.
I love that piece. And then last, the Wiedemann. This is a 3D plastic sign made by Wiedemann. You see these every once in a while, but most of the time they're missing the hang tag below.
Yeah.
This piece is hanging with a chain, so it's really hard to find one with the tag. Occasionally you'll see these. I've probably seen 5 to 10 of those over 20 years, but not many.
Right.
But maybe only one other with the hang tag.
I've
They're
never,
just
until I've seen yours, I didn't even know it came with a hang tag.
yeah, I mean, it was basically plastic in this chain, so obviously you can imagine they got ripped off or broke off and people just threw them away. But this one happens to have the tag on the bottom, which
That's
is,
amazing.
which
And that's
is really cool.
what, probably a 50s or 60s?
No, it's going to be 60s.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but by the mid 60s probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
There you go.
yeah, there's some beer advertising, beer collectibles.
Let's see.
Anybody got any beer signs they want to sell? Give me a call. Don't call this guy first. Call me.
Well, so you really got to look at some really rare stuff. We hope you like that. Before we go, something you didn't know. That's my new thing. I almost forgot to ask you that. So when you were a kid, maybe at your age you're at now, what's your favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh man, I like the Fruit Loops. Which one? I don't know. Well, you probably know the answer to this one.
Yeah,
As a kid, I don't know. Rice Krispies I liked a lot.
Yeah,
My mom didn't buy the sugary cereal very much, so I didn't get that very. I had to go to my cousin's house to get like the really, really sugary stuff.
Yeah.
But we ate cornflakes and we ate Rice Krispies a lot.
You put sugar on it.
Oh yeah, you got to put the sugar. Yeah, I would always put the sugar on it. So yeah, she'd always buy the stuff without sugar.
There you go.
But I'd load it up.
Rice Krispies, that was my favorite.
Yeah, Rice Krispies and cornflakes.
Yeah, just use if you eat Rice Krispies, use chocolate milk, not white milk.
Ah, I've never tried that.
Now you'll be on a sugar buzz, but it's extremely good.
Good stuff.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.